The team has had an awful time in practice with blown motors, but qualified well up on the grid. This is the parade lap for Heat 1 of the first race, with the drivers warming up the tyres. Joe Winkelhock from Germany was third in the FIA Touring Car World Cup at Donington and shares a BMW Enviro car with South African champion Sean van der Linde. Mike Briggs leads the field, followed by Radisic in the Sasol Ford Mondeo, one of two models racing in South Africa for the first time. Also new to us is the Alfa Romeo 155T, being driven by George Fouché and Hilton Cowie.
Take care of trouble, watch everybody up front. Hopefully they get in a tangle or two and try and slip past, or maybe a bit of rain would help us. You know, the car was fairly good in the wet, and that equalises things. So I'm wishing for rain.
The red and yellow oil flag is out as the cars form up on the grid. The Duncan Foss Nissan expired as the cars set off on the warm-up lap, and the oil flag is out as cars peel away and take up their grid positions. That's Joe Winkelhock taking the first stint in the BMW Enviro car he is sharing with Sean van der Linde. Watch for the red lights, and within 7 seconds, the green light. Starter John Wheeler didn't waste any time getting them underway, and Anthony Taylor has made a great start from the middle of the grid. Tiffany Dell was also quick off the line and is past both Radisic and Mike White, and the Nissan is up into second behind South African Mike Briggs in the Opel Astra. Briggs leads from Nidell, White, Radisic and Taylor, and Winkelhock looks as though he missed a gear, and Nick de Waal is up to sixth in the second Nissan. Winkelhock has a quick look in the mirrors, and that is Will Hoy in the Castrol Camry going past Winkelhock, and the BMW has lost 2 places. Into Goodyear corner for the first time, and Mike White is challenging Nidell on the inside. White has forced the Camry past the Nissan, and South Africans are 1 and 2, and Nidell has spun out. Nidell has spun the Nissan, and there is a suspicion that he was given a nudge by Paul Radisic in the Sasol Ford Mondeo. It looked as though Nidell was tapped by the Mondeo. Let's have a look at the replay from the Nissan race cam. The Minolta Camry comes through on the inside, and there was definitely no contact between Nidell and White. That was bad luck for Nidell as the cars come streaming down the hill into the flat-out in 6th Haviland sweep, and Mike White looks to be in trouble. The Minolta Toyota Camry is slowing right down, and White has a problem. Through the AA Super Bowl, and the rest of the field is storming past Mike White. Coming up to the end of lap 1, and Briggs now leads Radisic in the Ford Mondeo. Nick de Waal is third in the Nissan Sentra. Anthony Taylor fourth in the Motorplan BMW, but the youngster from Krugersdorp is under tremendous pressure from Joe Winkelhock and Dion Joubert in the factory BMW Enviro cars. Taylor was sideways coming out of the tight Gestetner left-hander, and a tremendous battle is developing between the 3 BMWs. Racecam action from the Winkelhock BMW Enviro car as the experienced German chases after the young lion from Krugersdorp. Up the hill towards Nashua corner, and not today, says Taylor, as he closes the door on Winkelhock and holds on to 4th place. This is a great start for Taylor. And in the pits, the Mike White Minolta Toyota Camry.
Mike White, first lap incident, what went wrong?
Well, we were lying well. I got past Tiff Nadell into clubhouse, and up towards Leeuwkop, I was getting away from Radish, and I was closing on Briggs, and then the fuel pressure went. So the engine cut out, and I just was going back to the pits, but everybody just came up on me, and they gave me nowhere to go, and they forced me off at the chicane.
This is the battle for 4th, 5th and 6th, and Winkelhock is making another move on Taylor at Goodyear corner. Winkelhock is up on the inside of the South African and is through to 4th. Winkelhock has run wide coming out of the corner. Oh, and Taylor had to take evasive action and is fighting back. Tremendous skills from Taylor as they go through the Rothmans S's, and Taylor is back to 4th. Joe Winkelhock is a former British touring car champion and was 3rd in the World Cup at Donington, but Anthony Taylor is giving the German a real run for his money. They are onto the tabletop at West Bank corner, and Taylor has forced Winkelhock to take the wider line and is holding on to 4th as they set off down the Caltex mine shaft. Briggs is chased into the AA Super Bowl by Radisic, who is closing in on the Opel. de Waal is still 3rd, but the big battle is going on behind them between the 3 BMWs. Winkelhock is trying again on the inside of Anthony Taylor, and the Motorplan BMW was spun. There may have been contact as the 3 cars came out of the AA Super Bowl, but that is tragedy for Anthony Taylor. Taylor is going again, but the two BMW Enviro cars are now up to 4th and 5th, with Anthony Reid moving into 6th in the PG Autoglass Opel Astra. And into the pits comes the Marco dos Santos Ian Carr Lakefield BMW. And dos Santos has made contact with something out of the circuit. Pit crew are swarming all over the front of the car. The damage doesn't look too serious, but it's costing dos Santos valuable time. Back to the action, and world champion Paul Radisich is closing the gap on race leader Mike Briggs in the Opel Astra. The Sassel Ford Mondeo is getting closer, with Duval still third. Joe Winkelhock is followed by Dion Joubert, and behind the two BMWs we have Kelvin Burt in the second Ford Mondeo. Next up are Will Hoy in the Castrol Toyota Camry and George Fouché in the FGP Alfa Romeo 155T. It hasn't been an easy week for Fouché, but the Alfa is still running strongly. Now matters are getting interesting. The gap between leader Mike Briggs and Paul Radisich is down to less than a second. The world champion is starting to pile on the pressure. Radisich was all over the curb at the AA Kink, but the Sassel Ford Mondeo is closing, and Briggs locks up the brakes a little at Gestetner corner. It looks as though we could have a desperately close finish on our hands, and into the pits comes Nick Duval in the BP Nissan Sentra, and that looks terminal.
Nick Duval. Early disappointment.
Yeah, we had an excellent start from 7th. After one lap, we were lying 3rd and we were catching the Mondeo. But the same problem stuck its neck out again and the engine went, unfortunately.
The penultimate lap, and Mike Briggs leads Paul Radisich down the Caltex mineshaft and into the Haviline sweep. That's Marco dos Santos behind the Sassel Ford Mondeo, but he is a lap or two down on the leaders. And Radisich is in trouble. Dos Santos has swept past the Mondeo, and the world champion is pulling off the circuit. High drama as world champion Paul Radisich and the Sassel Ford Mondeo go out of the race, and Mike Briggs surely has this one in the bag for Opel Racing. The two BMW Enviro cars of Joe Winkelhock and Dion Joubert move into 2nd and 3rd, but they are a long way behind Briggs, and there is the Mondeo parked on the side of the circuit. Racecam action from the Joe Winkelhock BMW Enviro car on the last lap of Heat 1 of the first race in the AA Fleet Care International Touring Car Challenge. Winkelhock steams past Marco dos Santos in the Lakefield car. The German is looking very relaxed in 2nd place. He knows he won't be able to catch race leader Mike Briggs. And there is race leader Mike Briggs in the Opel Racing Astra. Briggs put the Astra on pole position and has led from the flag. Winkelhock and Joubert are 2nd and 3rd, with Anthony Reid 4th in the PG Autoglass Astra. Reid is followed by Kelvin Burt in the 2nd Ford Mondeo. Next up are Serge Damso in the Castrol Camry and George Fouché in the Alfa Romeo, as Winkelhock and Joubert go through Goodyear Corner for the last time. Racecam action from the Fouché Alfa Romeo and a little argy-bargy with Will Hoy and the Castrol Toyota Camry at Goodyear Corner. There was solid contact between the Alfa and the Toyota, but Fouché is pressing on regardless. This is the last lap, and the two BMW Enviro cars are in Westbank Corner for the last time. Anthony Reid is 4th in the PG Autoglass Astra, and it will be interesting to know if there are any team orders in the BMW camp. Dion Joubert is right with Joe Winkelhock, but doesn't appear to be putting any pressure on the German. More racecam action from the Winkelhock car, and once again the German is looking remarkably cool and calm about it all. It's all over bar the shouting for Mike Briggs in the Opel Astra. Briggs is into Gestetner corner for the last time and will take the checkered flag. A tremendous win for the young South African, as out comes the flag, and there'll be pandemonium in the Opel pits. So Mike Briggs strikes a blow for South Africa by taking the first heat. Joe Winkelhock and Dion Joubert give the BMW Enviro car team 2nd and 3rd place. Anthony Reid is 4th in the PG Autoglass Astra, with Kelvin Burt 5th in the Sassel Ford Mondeo.
Michael Briggs, brilliant performance.
It's absolutely wonderful, you know. I've been racing for so many years, and I've never really been able to go out in international competition and show that, you know, I really can do it. There's nothing wrong with South African drivers. There's nothing wrong with the South African cars. We truly are competitive, and I really feel good that I could do it. I'm proud today. I'm proud to be South African.
With only a 10-minute break between heats 1 and 2 of the AA Fleet Care Challenge, there was some frantic activity in pit lane. For teams like Toyota, there was a fair amount of work involved in getting the Castrol Camry back into action. Hannes Krobler, taking over from Tiff Nidell in the Nissan Sentra, was his normal cheerful self, and the lucky teams only had to worry about driver and tyre changes. For the drivers who did duty in Heat 1, there were mixed feelings.
Good second place. Must be very happy.
Yeah, of course. But I was also confident after the practice. And, okay, 8 laps, it's a very short race. So you have to fight from the first to the last lap very, very hard. And I must say, I'm really satisfied with the second position.
Paul Radisich, big disappointment.
Yeah, I mean, the way it looks like it's done an engine, which is very unusual, but we're just checking it out now. But I doubt we'll make the next one, but if we could change an engine in between the 2 sessions, we may make it for the next 2 legs.
You were in second place chasing Michael?
Yeah, and everything was fine. Couldn't get it off the line. The engine just bogs very, very badly, and dropped back to 4th and then come through to 2nd, caught him up, and I thought I'd do my last lap manoeuvre, but never got that far.
The warm-up lap for Heat 2 of Race 1 in the AA Fleet Care International Touring Car Challenge, and we already have drama. John Cleland took over the Opel Racing Astra from first heat winner Mike Briggs, and with the rest of the cars on the grid is coasting into the pits with what looks like to be a blown engine. Just look at the frustration from Mike Briggs.
John, unfortunately, didn't even make it to the line.
Just can't believe it. It wasn't keen on starting up. It wouldn't start as cleanly as normal. And when it did start, there was some smoke coming from under the bonnet. As I drove out the pit lane, when I looked in the mirror, there was a heap of smoke coming out of it. It just didn't sound quite right. And as I come down into the bowl, bang.
Terrible luck there for the Opel Racing team, but the rest of the field is ready to go for Heat 2. The lights are green as we go to race cam action with James Weaver in the Motorplan BMW, and he has made a demon start. Weaver stormed past Serge Damso in the Castrol Camry and Ben Morganrood in the Sassel Ford Mondeo. Weaver has taken over from Anthony Taylor for Heat 2 and is up into 4th place behind Grant McCleary in the PG Autoglass Opel Astra and the 2 BMW Enviro cars. McCleary has taken over the Opel Astra from Anthony Reid and has Sean van der Linde and Alex Bergstaller on his heels in the Enviro cars. Van der Linde is the South African champion and has taken over from Joe Winkelhock, with Bergstaller replacing Dion Schubert. Weaver is coming under attack from Hannes Krobler in the Nissan Sentra, but it's still Grant McCleary out in front as they approach Goodyear Corner for the first time. Race cam action from the Van der Linde BMW Enviro car. Van der Linde is the new national champion and represented South Africa in the FIA Touring Car World Cup at Donington Park. His race ended in a huge start line mix-up, and Van der Linde would love to make amends here as he chases after race leader Grant McCleary in the PG Autoglass Opel Astra. Hannes Krobler in the BP Nissan Sentra is having a rare old tussle with James Weaver in the Motorplan BMW. Chasing after the pair are Serge Damso and Hilton Cowie, who has taken over the Alfa Romeo from George Fouché. The leaders are storming through the Haviline sweep into the AA Super Bowl, and still it's Grant McCleary out in front in the PG Autoglass Opel Astra. He has Sean van der Linde and Alex Bergstaller tucked in behind him. Hannes Krobler has got ahead of James Weaver to move up into 4th place in the Nissan. Serge Damso is 5th in the Castrol Toyota Camry, with Hilton Cowie 6th and going well in the Alfa Romeo. The end of lap 1 with race cam action from the James Weaver Motorplan BMW down the Gestetner Straight at well over 200 kilometers an hour. The race leaders look as though they're pulling away a little from the BMW, and back in the pits, the Opel technicians are hard at work with an engine change on the Opel Racing Astra. The Farouk Dangor, Jeff Allam, Speedy Car Sales Vauxhall Cavalier is also being wheeled into the pits.
Farouk Dangor, early disappointment for you.
Yeah, we had, the first heat wasn't too bad. We just tried to keep it going at a consistent rate there. And Jeff went out in the second heat, and I think the second lap, the lower control arm snapped off.
Back to the action on lap 4, and Grant McCleary still leads the 2 Enviro cars and the Krobler Nissan, but the PG Autoglass car has been penalised 30 seconds for jumping the start, and that is a setback for McCleary and teammate Anthony Reid. That'll drop the pair down the race order, but right now McCleary is under attack from Sean van der Linde, Alex Bergstaller and Hannes Krobler. Race cam action from the Van der Linde BMW, and he is attacking down the inside at Gestetner corner. Van der Linde has got ahead of McCleary. The BMW and the Opel went wide, and Alex Bergstaller is also trying to get through on the inside. Krobler is right with them, and they are line abreast down the Gestetner straight. Van der Linde and McCleary lost a little momentum when they went onto the dirt at Gestetner, and Bergstaller is into the lead at the total curves, and Hannes Krobler has nipped into second place. Grant McCleary went from first to fourth in one fell swoop, and the game is on. Alex Bergstaller in the BMW Enviro car leads Hannes Krobler with Sean van der Linde third. Grant McCleary is fourth, and in the pits, Basil Kutzer is talking to Tiff Needell, who took the first stint in the BP Nissan Sentra.
Tiff Needell, a difficult first race.
Yeah, disappointing after all the week's work of getting the car going competitively, and I mean, a brilliant start, got to second. Mike White made a very honest overtaking maneuver into Clubhouse in that first lap. Then Paul Radisich, a man who is world champion and should really know better, just thumped me up the backside and spun me out, you know, when we were on the straight after the corner.
Looking forward to the next one?
Only if I can find Paul Radisich and return the favour.
The final lap, and Alex Bergstaller still leads in the BMW Enviro car. Sean van der Linde in the other Enviro car is still second, with Hannes Krobler third after a storming drive in the Nissan Sentra. Bergstaller and teammate Dion Joubert are on their way to victory in the first race in the AA Fleet Care International Touring Car Challenge, and again, one wonders about BMW team orders. Van der Linde looks content to secure second place overall for himself and teammate Joe Winkelhock, and isn't putting any pressure on Bergstaller. The final corner and the two Enviro cars will take the checkered flag to give BMW a 1-2 triumph. Bergstaller's win in Heat 2 gives the German and Dion Joubert the overall win in Race 1, followed by Van der Linde and Winkelhock in a BMW triumph. Krobler and Needell will join them on the podium with Serge Damso and Will Hoy fourth, and James Weaver, Anthony Taylor fifth. It smiles all round up on the podium with the traditional bubbly as we join British commentator Brian Jones in the post-race interview room.
Dion, you laid a very good foundation for victory in that race. How was it for you?
Well, the first race was very good. I must say it was an education following Jochen Winkelhock through the field. I would not have believed that from 8th we could have won, and I think it's a tribute to our car's reliability and speed that we actually came through. I'm also very pleased with my teammate Alex. I mean, I think he drove splendidly, and thank you.
The organisers extended the break between races 1 and 2 to allow the Opel and Ford teams to complete engine changes. With intermittent rain showers, the delay posed something of a dilemma for teams.
You know, I'm at the back of the grid anyway, so in my case, I don't really care whether it's wet or dry. Maybe the wet might even help me. I'm in at the deep end anyway, so I'll just have to make up with what I can.
I think also that in Europe we had the opportunity to test with the car in the rain condition a little bit more than here in South Africa. So probably the weather will help us a little bit.
The grid for Heat 1 of the second race in the AA Fleet Care International Touring Car Challenge, with the two BMW Enviro cars ahead of Ivan Capelli, who has replaced Hannes Krobler in the BP Nissan Sentra. The second Cecil Ford Mondeo, driven by Sarel van der Merwe, is back in action, along with the Briggs Cleland Opel Astra, and we are underway, with Alex Bergstaller off the line ahead of Sean van der Linde. James Weaver has made another good start in the Motorplan BMW and is up into third. Into the total curves, and the Capelli Nissan is in trouble. There are cars flying off the circuit all over the place. Capelli, Anthony Reid, Marcos dos Santos and Serge Damso were all involved in that little mix-up. There is the Damso Castrol Toyota Camry, and his race is over. Racecam replay action is from the Damso Camry as they sweep into the left-hander at total. It looks as though Capelli gets a nudge from the Fouché Alfa Romeo, and that sets off a chain reaction, and Damso has nowhere to go. An unfortunate start to the race, but Alex Bergstaller and Sean van der Linde were unaffected by all the drama behind them and lead in the BMW Enviro cars. They are followed by James Weaver. Fouché is up to fourth, followed by the Ford Mondeos and Mike Briggs as they storm past one of the Class B cars at Goodyear Corner. Into the Rothmans S's, and the Farouk Dangor Vauxhall Cavalier is also carrying battle scars as we pick up race cam action from James Weaver in third place in the Motorplan BMW. Let's have a slow-motion look at the mix-up at the total curves, with the whole incident sparked off by contact between Fouché and Capelli. The Damso Camry also gets a nudge from Anthony Reid in the PG Autoglass Opel Astra, and Ian Khan in the lake-filled BMW is hit by the Toyota's front bumper as it's ripped off the Camry. Back to the action, and Sean van der Linde is challenging Alex Bergstaller for the lead at the AA Super Bowl. The South African has sneaked through on the inside, and that's a clean and precise overtaking manoeuvre. And van der Linde leads Heat 1 of the second race in the AA Fleet Care International Touring Car Challenge. BMWs are first, second and third, with James Weaver behind the two BMW Enviro cars. Van der Linde and Bergstaller come streaming past the pits with Weaver in tow. Fouché is still fourth, but has Mike Briggs closing in on him in the Opel Astra. And that looks to be the end of the race for Anthony Reid in the PG Autoglass car, probably as a result of the first lap tangle. This is the start of lap 7 for James Weaver, Fouché and Briggs, who is edging closer to George Fouché in the Alfa Romeo. Briggs has put some space between himself and the two Ford Mondeos, driven by Ben Morgan-Rood and Cyril van der Merwe. Weaver has driven an impressive race in the Motorplan BMW as he leads the Alfa and the Opel into Nashua Corner. This is perhaps the trickiest corner at AA Kyalami, and Fouché has run wide and Briggs is even closer to the Alfa as they head for the Goodyear sweep. Briggs is up alongside the Alfa and is trying to go around on the outside of the Goodyear sweep. That is a brave move, and the cars are almost touching as they exit the sweep at around 160 kilometers an hour. Briggs will try on the inside at Goodyear corner, but Fouché is closing the door on him. This is great stuff between two world-class drivers, and Fouché has managed to hold off the Opel as they go through the Rothmans S's. Now, what have Fouché and Briggs got in store as they head up the Rothmans Hill towards Westbank? The crowd is loving it as Fouché takes a blocking line. Fouché is going to make it as difficult as he can for Briggs to get past. Down the Caltex mine shaft, and this is the fastest part of the circuit, with the two cars locked together at around 220 kilometers an hour. There's no doubt Briggs will try and get past the Alfa at the AA Super Bowl. Under braking, Fouché has taken the tighter line into the AA Super Bowl, but the Alfa has run wide on the exit to the corner, and that is the mistake Briggs was waiting for. The final lap, and the leaders are up at Westbank Corner with South African champion Sean van der Linde still out in front of Alex Bergstaller. The two BMW Enviro cars have a handy lead over James Weaver in the Motorplan BMW. Briggs is up into fourth, but no one will catch van der Linde and Bergstaller. Van der Linde has eked out the lead of 5 or 6 car lengths over Bergstaller. There are just 2 corners left in this race, and all Van der Linde has to do is keep the BMW on the circuit. Both drivers clip the curbs through the new AA kink, and it's all over bar the shouting for Sean van der Linde. Van der Linde is through Gestette corner for the last time and will take the checkered flag ahead of Alex Bergstaller. The two BMW Enviro cars lead home James Weaver in the Motorplan BMW and Mike Briggs in the Opel Astra. Fouché has gone missing and Ben Morgan-Rood is 5th in the Sasol Ford Mondeo. Sean van der Linde will be happy with that result as he brings the BMW into the pits. Van der Linde's highly experienced teammate Joe Winkelhock will take over the BMW from the young South African with the Enviro car team in a powerful position for Heat 2.
I didn't make a particularly good start. I was lying behind Alex for a second, but I could see that I was quicker than him, and I knew if I just hang in there I could make a move later on in the race. He made a mistake going up to Westbank though, and I thought, am I going to pass you now or leave it for later? And I left it, and I passed him the following lap down the mine shaft to getting to Continental on the inside. The clean move we didn't touch, so I'm happy.
Once again, there was a 10-minute break between heats with Ben Morgan-Rood and Mike Briggs happy with their stints behind the wheel.
I had a poor start and the rest of the field got away. But I enjoyed it. I had a good dice with Michael Briggs for a while, and then with Cyril. A lot of fun.
Actually, I had more fun in that race than I had in the first one winning, because when I was winning, I had to concentrate really hard. This was just a flat-out charge. Sure, I feel good. I think it could have been better. In the first lap, I got involved in a little bit of a shunt in the first corner, and I had to come to a dead stop, so I lost a lot of ground on the leaders. Otherwise, I don't know, we might have even challenged for the lead.
All set for the final race of the AA Fleet Care International Touring Car Challenge. This is Heat 2 of the second race with the field waiting for the green lights. Anthony Taylor is looking for a way past the BMW Enviro cars. There's plenty of jockeying for position as we go to race cam with Joachim Winkelhock, and Anthony Taylor is through on the inside of the total curves to move into the lead. And out of the pit lane come Tiff Needell in the BP Nissan Sentra, Hilton Cowie in the Alfa Romeo, and Will Hoy in a slightly battered Castrol Toyota Camry. They have ground to make up as Anthony Taylor leads the field through Nashua Corner. Anthony Taylor leads from Winkelhock, John Cleland in the Opel Astra, and Dion Joubert in the second Enviro car. Race cam action is from the Winkelhock car as they go round the Goodyear sweep. This is the approach to Goodyear Corner, and Winkelhock is attacking Taylor down the inside. Winkelhock is through, and the German leads from Taylor as they head towards the Rothmans S's. A little wave of acknowledgement from Winkelhock as Taylor politely moved over. Oh, and there was some argy-bargy at the entrance of the Rothmans S's, and that looked as though there was contact between a Ford Mondeo and Cleland of the Opel, with Dion Joubert forced onto the dirt in the second BMW Enviro car. Radisic is trying to find a way round Cleland at Westbank. Cleland has Radisic and Joubert right on his tail. Racecam action from the Taylor Motorplan BMW. This is the Caltex mineshaft with the Haviline sweep taken flat out in sixth. Then it's heavy onto the brakes for the right-hander at the AA Super Bowl, and world champion Paul Radisic is attacking Cleland down the inside of the Super Bowl. Cleland is forced wide, and Dion Joubert is also past the Opel Astra. Winkelhock leads from Anthony Taylor. Paul Radisic is up to third, Dion Joubert is fourth, and John Cleland is relegated to fifth in the Opel Astra. World champion or no world champion, Dion Joubert gave Paul Radisic a little nudge in Gestetner. It was just a reminder to say, I'm right with you, Paul, as Winkelhock leads the field down the Gestetner pit straight. That's the end of the day for Will Hoy and Serge Damso in a slightly battered Castrol Toyota Camry. It hasn't been a happy day for the pair, and now Taylor is having to work for his money. Paul Radisic wants a way past the Motorplan BMW as they approach the 90-degree left-hander at Gestetner. Radisic has made it. The World Touring Car Champion from New Zealand is up into second place in the Sassel Ford Mondeo. Now, can Radisic pull something out of the bag and catch Joe Winkelhock? Taylor is also under pressure from Dion Joubert, and the second Enviro car is through into third place. Paul Radisic is sandwiched between the two BMW Enviro cars. Joubert is trying to close the gap on the Ford and locked up the brakes at Nashua Corner. And Anthony Taylor, that's Anthony Taylor, has spun off. The Motorplan BMW is stuck in the kitty litter, and that is the tragedy for young Taylor. It's the N2 for John Cleland with the Opel Astra's motor blown again. This is the last corner, and Winkelhock will win, but Joubert is making a last-gasp effort to get past Radisic and has given the Mondeo a good thump at the backside. Winkelhock wins. Radisic is second with Joubert right on his tail. Race 2 victory for Winkelhock and van der Linde ahead of Radisic and van der Merwe, with first race winners Joubert and Bergstaller having to be content with third place this time around. It's all smiles on the podium and another triumph for the BMW Enviro car team.
I have to say thank you to the team, of course, because they prepared the car very well, and also to Sean, because he prepared to be first in the grid for my race, and so it was a very good position to think to win the race.